Hey everyone, this is Dylan, and today I'll be doing a movie review for you guys. So the movie I'm reviewing today is Joyride. Welcome to day 5 of the 31 Days of Halloween. Make sure to check out all my other videos that I've already posted and ones that I will be posting for the rest of this month. So let's get into Joyride. This was a road horror film that came out in 2001, and one of the interesting things that I did not realize about this movie until I was looking up to do this review was that one of the writers was J.J. Abrams. I was like, whoa. So this must have been, I think that this either was in the middle of or after his time on Felicity. And that's just pretty interesting to me, and to see that he kind of got a little bit of a start in movies with such an interesting movie for what he's went on to do. But let's get right into the synopsis. So this movie follows Lewis and his brother Steven. But we first start off with Lewis, and he is just ending his freshman year at college, and he has a girl back home that he likes who is actually in Denver. And so instead of flying back home to New Jersey, he decides that he's going to take his ticket, get the refund, and buy a car and road trip to pick up his girl that he likes, and then they will drive to New Jersey. He ends up calling his mother to tell her that he is no longer going to fly to New Jersey, that he's going to drive there, and that he has gotten a car. And she tells him that his brother has been arrested for drunken disorderly conduct in Salt Lake City, so he ends up driving to Salt Lake City to bail his brother out and pick him up, and that's kind of where we get the start of this story. So his brother is being just generally an annoying brother. He's the older brother, but he's just a little bit annoying and manic, and something happens with the vehicle and they need to get it fixed. So Lewis and Fuller go to like a mechanic place, and Lewis is somewhere signing the stuff, and he comes out and he's like, the mechanic is putting this giant antenna in the back of his car, and he's like, oh, what the heck is this? And Fuller's like, oh, I talked him down and got a CB radio for about $40. And so he had a CB radio installed, and that is where things get a little insane. So they start back up on the road, and they're headed to Denver to pick up Benna. And Fuller is full on pranking these truckers, and he's like, hey, can you do a girl voice? And Lewis is like, I haven't done a girl voice since I was 9 when I was prank calling whoever. And he's like, just do it, come on, let's just do it. And so they pick up the handle candy cane, and that is the female voice. And so Lewis is talking to Rusty Nail, and Rusty Nail is really into candy cane, and they're talking, and then they end up losing Rusty Nail. So they don't think anything of it, and they keep heading along. They find a motel, and they stop. And there's like this really mean guy that's berating the manager of the hotel, and Fuller is like, let's see if we can get Rusty Nail back and tell him that Candy Cane is going to be at this motel in room 17, and it'll be the biggest prank. So that's what they do, and what happens is Rusty Nail shows up, he goes to the room, and the next morning they wake up and the police are outside, and the guy who was in the other room had his jaw completely ripped off. And this is not the last that Lewis and Fuller will see of Rusty Nail. So that's where I'm going to leave the synopsis. And I will say that this movie is like an elevated TV movie. And I say that in all the best ways. And it would definitely be an elevated movie of the early 2000s, not now, because now they're like basically movie level movies on TV. So it would be like a made-for-TV movie, but an elevated made-for-TV movie. And I mean, we get a lot of stuff in this. It's kind of bloody. I mean, we see the guy with his jaw completely ripped off. I don't remember seeing that the first time I watched that, but that was a pretty insane thing. It's not super gory. We do get some nudity, which is fun, with Paul Walker and Steve Zahn, and part of the retaliation prank that Rusty Nail does. And I think just overall the thematic elements are a bit elevated than it would be in a TV movie, so that is pretty fun as well. I will also say that John Dahl is the director, and there were some pretty visually interesting shots that they had in this movie. I was actually really surprised. I don't remember it happening. One of them, I'll try to find it and put it in this video, but it's basically where they first invite Rusty Nail to the apartment that's next to the one that they're at, and both Lewis and Fuller are on the wall listening to see if they can hear what's going on next door, and there's like this picture painting in the middle of them, and I don't know what it is, but that shot is just so perfectly positioned, and then it zooms in on the painting while you can hear the sounds of what's happening next door. I don't know, I just really liked that. And then there's also a lot of really cool like overhead shots of them driving along the highway. I don't know, stuff like that I just think is like really visually cool. And for this being a horror movie, there is a lot of tension. I think that is one of the things that this movie does very well, is build the tension. And one of the main scenes that I think that there's a ton of tension in, well, is the third act. There's a lot of tension in the third act. And then there's also one where they believe that they are being followed by Rusty Nail. They go to a gas station, and this guy gets out of his vehicle, and he's got like a bat, and they think that he's going to attack him, and they start going off on these country roads, and this guy's following them. They don't know what they're doing. Then they're at a dead end, and they have nothing else to do, so they lock the doors. The guy gets out of his vehicle and is like, hey, you left this MasterCard at the gas station. And they're like, oh my god, we thought you were going to kill us. And then Rusty Nail shows up, and that was a really masterfully done scene, and where you are very tense the entire time, and then you kind of get this like little break, and you think that everything's fine, and then it just adds more tension. I think that was really cool as well. Now let's talk about truckers. I think that's a pretty interesting villain to have in this movie. One, the truck itself basically becomes a villain, as well as Rusty Nail, because we don't really ever see Rusty Nail as a person until the end. Most of the time it's just the voice and the truck. And so I think that's really interesting and cool. I mean, I am a bit terrified of tractor trailers when I'm driving on the highway, because there's so many things that can go wrong with tractor trailers, and I'm always very paranoid when I drive by them and they're a little too close to the middle lane, and I'm afraid that they're just going to not see me for whatever reason and then just like pull off and run me off the road. That's just kind of an irrational fear, but it's definitely something that's a little creepy, and so I don't necessarily like tractor trailers a whole lot. And I also think that it's interesting because there is a kind of theory out there that all of these people, if you look at like a breakdown of where a lot of people get murdered, it's along the interstates. And there's like this theory that there are these like serial killer truck drivers that just drive around. So something like that is very interesting to think about, and to have like this truck driver person who will go to these lengths in this movie to get back at these people, and then think of these potential real people who are truck driver serial killers. It's just really kind of crazy. Now let's talk about the prank. The prank was basically just them pretending to be a woman that wants to sleep with this Rusty Nail, and it happens, and Rusty Nail does not think that it's funny, and he will not let it up. And so it's just like, dude, you took it a little too far. And I mean, yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad. So I mean, I know people that can take pranks a little too far, but yeah, not a Rusty Nail, that's for sure. I also wanted to talk about Steve Zahn and Paul Walker, and how I thought that they are basically the main characters of this movie, and they carry this movie really well. I think that both of them are really nice. I think that Steve Zahn's character is super goofy, and I think that Steve Zahn plays with that really well. And then also Paul Walker is playing Lewis, and he's charming as hell, and I think that he really adds like a stability to Fuller, and also like this voice of reason almost, and so I really did enjoy that as well. So let's finish this off with my rating of this movie. I give this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I definitely recommend that you guys check it out if you've never seen it. So that is it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments down below if you've seen Joyride and whether or not you liked it or not. And remember, if you're not already subscribed and you'd like to be, please hit that subscribe button down below and give this video a like if you liked it. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great day. Bye.